Hello, everybody. It's me again. It's Russell Mills, Thursday, October 17, 2019. I want to say hello to everybody. Hope everybody's blessed. Um, just want to tell everybody, if people aren't familiar, um, former politician Elijah Cummings, he just passed away today. He was age 68. I'm going to read. It's funny because I didn't know Elijah Cummings was born January 18th. That's the day I was born. But obviously, we're a lot different in ages. But it says Elijah Eugene Cummings. Excuse my voice, I'm not a little raspy today. Sorry about that. It says Elijah Eugene Cummings, born January 18, 1951. He died today, October 17, 2019, was an American politician and civil rights activist who served as the member of the U.S. House of Representatives for Maryland's 7th Congressional District from 1996 until his death in 2019. The district includes just over half of the city of Baltimore, most of the majority black precincts of Baltimore County, as well as most of Howard County. He previously served in the Maryland's House Delegates. He was a member of the Democratic Party. It says Cummings served in the Maryland House from 1983 to 1996. That year, he was elected in the U.S. House. Cummings served as a chair of committee and oversight and reform from January 2019 until his sudden death in October 2019. So, this is Cummings, obviously. Um, Again, he was born January 18, 1951, in Baltimore, the son of Ruth Elma Cochran and Robert Cumming. His parents were sharecroppers. He was the third child, seven. Cummings graduated with honors from the Baltimore City College High School in 1969. So Cummings attended Howard University in Washington, D.C., where he served in the student government as sophomore class president, student government treasurer, and late student government president. So he became the member of the Phi Beta Kappa Society and graduated in 1973 with a bachelor's degree in political science. Says Cummings graduated from law school at the University of Maryland Schools of Law, receiving his Juris Doctor in 1976, and was admitted to Maryland's bar later that year. Since he practiced law for 19 years before first being elected to the House in 1996 election. Since Cummings received 12 honorary doctorate degrees from universities across America, most recently honorary doctorate of public service from the University of Maryland College Park in 2017. Says for 14 years, Cummings served in the Maryland House of Delegates. His predecessor, Lena King Lee, raised funds and campaigned for him. Years later, Cummings credited her with launching um, his political career. Says in the Maryland General Assembly, he served as the chairman of the Legislature's Black Caucus of Maryland and was the first African American in Maryland history to be named Speaker pro tempore, the second highest position in the House of Delegates. It says Cummings also served on several board and commissions, both in and out of Baltimore. It says those included Seed Schools of Maryland, boards of directors, and the University of Maryland Law School Board of Advisors. Since he served on numerous Maryland boards and commissions, including the Board of Visitor to United States Naval Academy and Elijah Cummings Youth Group in Israel. He was honored a member of the Baltimore Zoo Board of Trustees. Says in addition to his many speaking engagements, he wrote weekly columns for the Baltimore Afro American newspaper. It says in December 2010, um, I can't even say this name, Adolph Towns, maybe I'm saying it wrong, excuse me, everybody, announced that he would not seek the position of ranking minority members of the Oversight Committee in the next Congress, even though his seniority and service as chair would typically result in him filing this post. So reportedly, Towns withdrew because of lack of support from Nancy Pelosi, who feared that he would be significantly aggressive uh, leader of Democrats in an anticipated struggle with incoming committee chair Republican Darrell Issa. This is reportedly the White House also wanted Towns to be replaced. Cummings defeated Carolyn Mahoney in a vote of the House Democratic Caucus. This is in his role as chair of Oversight Committee. He presided over the first public testimony by President Trump's former lawyer Michael Cohen, and was leading figure in the impeachment inquiry against Donald Trump. Carolyn Mahoney will serve as chair in the interim. This is Task Force on Healthcare Reform, co-founder of the chairman of the Congressional Congress on Drug Policies, Congressional Arts Caucus, After School Caucuses. This Cummings was a member of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. He served as a chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus during the 108th United States Congress. Since Cummings received praise following the congressional panel hearing from steroids in 2008 while investigating the use of steroids in sports, the panel called numerous baseball players to testify, including former single home run record holder Mark McGwire. Since after McGwire answered many questions in a vague fashion, Cummings demanded to know if he was taking the fifth, referring to the Fifth Amendment. McGuire responded by saying, I'm here to talk about the future, not the past. The exchange became emphasized an entire inquiry. This is legislation. I'm sorry. This is coming introduced the President and Federal Records Act amendment in 2014, bipartisan bill signed into law by President Barack Obama in December of 2014. This is the bill which Cummings corresponded with Representative Darrell Issa, Republican of California, a set amendment to the Federal Records Act and the Presidential Records Act. Among other provisions, the bill modernized the definition of federal records to expressly include electronic documents. Since he supported Smart Saving Acts, a bill that would make the default investments in the Thrift Savings Plan (TSP) an age-appropriate target date asset allocation investment fund instead of Government Securities Investment Fund (G Fund). Cummings called a bill common sense charge and argued the bill would enable workers to take full advantage of diversity funds designed to yield higher returns. Hmm. So he introduced the All Circuit Review Extension Bill, a bill that would extend 3 years the authority for federal employment employees who appeal the judgment of Merit System Protection Board to file their appeal at any federal circuit court of appeal instead of only U.S. courts appeal for the D.C. Circuit. Cummins said that the program is important to extend because it allows whistleblowers to file appeals where they live rather than being limited to the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals. He also said that the Federal Circuit Court of Appeals have a track record in whistleblower cases. Okay, let's see. Personal life. Says Cummings lived in Madison Park community in Baltimore and was an active member of the New Baptist Church. He was married to Maya Rocky Moore Cummings, who was elected chairwoman of the Maryland Democratic Party in 2018. They had 3 children. Says in 2011, his nephew Christopher Cummings, son of his brother James, was murdered at an off-campus house near Old Dominion University in Norfolk, Virginia, where he was a student. Cummings underwent surgery to repair his aortic valve in May of 2017, was absent from Capitol Hill for 2 months. This is in 2017, he developed a surgery-related infection but returned to work. Cummings was later hospitalized for knee infections. So I just want to say rest in peace to our brother. And if, our brother right here, Elijah Cummings, I don't know if everybody could see him, but no, it's not going to be able to see him good. So let me see if I can give you guys maybe I can let you guys hear this.
All right, the breaking news this morning is this. Congressman Elijah Cummings from Baltimore has died at 68. He'd been in Congress since 1996, and he was the chair of the House Oversight Committee. Of course, that committee involved, even today, with the impeachment inquiry. There's personal, though, and then there's politics, and sometimes the two are separate. I want to bring in Jim Acosta, CNN Chief White House Correspondent, and Dana Bash, CNN Chief Political Correspondent. Elijah Cummings, Dana, the son of sharecroppers, in Congress since 1996, with friends. Real friends on both sides of the aisle.
Of course. Look, this is, there's so many emotions. There's the personal, but then there's the political. There is the reality of where we are right now. He was the chairman of the Oversight Committee, which by definition is in charge of looking after the executive branch. It is, when you look at the balance of power and separation of powers, this committee was put in place to do just that. So he had been a critical player when it comes to these impeachment proceedings. Adam Schiff might have been the face of it in the last month because of the issue of Ukraine. He has been leading the charge, but Elijah Cummings certainly was right there with him. And he is somebody who clashed with the president and brought out, one of the examples of not the best in the president when Elijah Cummings went toe-to-toe with Mr. Trump, said he was, lashed out at him over an issue, and the president went back at him and started attacking his city of Baltimore. That is, in recent memory, one of the many things that we remember him being in the headlines for. But it's also, again, very personal. I mean, he's a sitting member of Congress, only 68 years old, is right there with his colleagues, had been every single day, and this is going to hit Democrats and Republicans hard.
Yeah, and he did all of his work with such emotion and such much heartfelt feelings and speeches. He often wore his emotions on his sleeve. He cried in public. His voice would crack. So obviously we'll have much more on Congressman Cummings throughout our program.
Joining me now is Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. She serves on the House Oversight and Reform Committee. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us. I know he was your chairman, but he was also your friend. So just tell us what his loss means to you this morning.
My heart is broken for his family, for his community, for our country. Elijah Cummings had unmatched integrity, wisdom. You couldn't spend 5 minutes with Elijah Cummings without feeling impacted deeply by his guidance, by his values. He was a mentor and someone who, in every situation, you would do the right thing, would put his community and the cause above everything else, including himself. And to have watched him struggle with the health problems he had, and still lead the oversight committee and push to make sure that the Constitution and our nation's principles were upheld, was a privilege that I don't know that I'll ever experience again. But I know that we'll walk in his shadow, in his shoes that will never be filled. And each of us will, on the committee, and as we press forward with this impeachment inquiry, we'll have to try to draw strength from the wisdom that we benefited from for so many years.
He wore his passion on his sleeve. There's no question about that. Really his passion, his love, his work ethic. I was with him on the streets of Baltimore, where he's on the streets, literally on the streets, trying to keep his constituents and the people of Baltimore safe during the demonstrations and the protests after the death of Freddie Gray.
Single-handedly, almost.
And we've seen his passion as he runs the hearings. Will testimony today, is that going to go on as scheduled?
My expectation is that it will. That's certainly something that I know that the chairman would want.
And again, just one point before we move on to talk about that hearing. He had dear friends on both sides of the aisle. So people have seen him being a Democratic chair, but that didn't mean that he wasn't beloved by many Republicans.
Absolutely. Fierce partisans on both sides had respect and admiration for Elijah Cummings. I watched it, whether it was Jim Jordan or Mark Meadows or Jason Chaffetz, Trey Gowdy. This was a man who earned respect, deservedly so, who just no one could get away with pulling a fast one on Elijah Cummings. He called out. He had a big BS detector, and he called it out whenever he saw it fit, but also made sure that he stayed focused and on task. And his task was standing up and doing the right thing for his people.
Hi, we're redecorating our home, and what is this?
Oh, this is called offline.
So you see what happened, and you see that Mr. Elijah Cummings was actually, he was very impactful in his life, and he tried to do what he can in Baltimore. He tried to do what he could for his people, and pass laws. Again, like I said, rest in peace to him and his family. I didn't really know that much about him. I've seen him speak, on TV, talk about certain things. Of course, he wasn't happy about the way the country's running with Trump being in office right now and all this other stuff. So, let's see. I need another clip.
Whether your beauty routine is 3 steps or 57, make Nature's Bounty Hair, Skin, and Nails Step 1. It's the #1 brand, uniquely formulated for silky hair, glowing skin, and healthy nails. Nature's Bounty, because you're better off healthy.
We want to...
say that we are just kind of devastated and heartbroken by the news that we lost an extraordinary statesman and person, leader of one of the most influential members of Congress, Elijah Cummings. He was 68 years old, and really what a life well lived looks like. I know most of us have met him or had some interaction with him.
What a life he had.
Yeah.
He really did.
I can't believe this.
Such a hard
I didn't know he was sick. I didn't know there was any issues. He is an absolute institution in Congress, an institution, a lion from a time gone by of bipartisanship. It is a
very dark day in America that he has passed, and I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I read this morning, and hearts to his family and his staff, because his staff, and I know what I'm talking about, are really feeling it today, and good on them for keeping this private for as long as they did.
You know, Stephanie Rawlings Blake, who used to be the secretary at the DNC, is one of my best friends, and so and is close with his wife. So I did know that he was ill. I didn't know he was this ill. But my my other best friend's husband was his press secretary, and so I knew him well. And I think everyone is in Baltimore, especially, is so devastated because he was a fierce advocate for Baltimore. And as a person who lived in Baltimore for many, many years, he was so active in the community. I don't think people realized how, this president didn't realize quite how active he was in the community. But he was, just like you said, a lion.
Yeah.
He was such a fierce advocate.
And he had, what I loved about him is everything was about human connection.
Yeah.
He fought for what he believed in, but that he also had best friends that didn't think the way that he did. I don't know if you guys remember
Mark Meadows.
So back in February, the Michael Cohen hearings, and he was leading those hearings, and there was an awkward moment when Mark Meadows was basically said that he was pulling a racist stunt by Rashida Tlaib, and that moment could have escalated and turned very ugly. And I think we have a clip. This is how he handled that moment.
He said that she was not calling you a racist, and I thought that we could clarify that you're one of my best friends. I know that shocks a lot of people.
And likewise, Mr. Chairman.
But you are. And I could see and feel your pain. I feel it. And so, and I don't think Ms. Tlaib intended to cause you that.
And it was the next day that Rashida Tlaib and Mark Meadows were hugging on the House floor because of the way that he handled that situation. He's going to be so missed. Now more than ever, do we need people like him representing this country?
Well, maybe the best way to pay homage to him is to maybe comport ourselves a little bit better in this country.
Yeah.
Maybe we can do a little bit better when we talk to people whose views we don't agree with. Maybe there's a better way for us to behave. So if we want to pay homage to this extraordinary man, let's try being just a little bit better and see if we can make that work.
So I just want to say rest in peace again to Elijah Cummings, as you heard Whoopi Goldberg and other staff of The View said about him. I just hope and pray that when we die, that we are remembered in a positive light instead of negative. And that's it. But I'm going to let you guys go. Feel free to check out any of my YouTube channels where I talk about certain things. Some stuff might be quote unquote controversial to you or whatever, or to others. But feel free to type in my name if you want to look me up on YouTube. It's Russell Mills, RussellMills, May 22nd, 2017. First videos, Why Black People Settle for Less. Feel free to check out any of my videos. And this is how people should be remembered when you die. As someone that was trying to do the best they could, be an extraordinary individual. But everybody take care. Have a blessed night. Take care. Peace.